what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Chad Williams Fixes All. In this episode, we're going to try to get the Saturn out of the garage under its own power. In the previous one, we ended up getting it started, so let's see if we can get it moving this episode. Let's do it. So, as I just mentioned, we did get the car running last episode. If you did not catch that, go ahead and click the link right here and go ahead and check it out. But in this episode, we're hoping to actually get it to move out of the garage under its own power. As I mentioned before, this is a manual transmission view. So we do need to bleed that slave cylinder. There was a little bit of air, I believe, in it because it is a little squishy. I can pretty much push it down with my hand, no problem. And I don't think that's probably the way it should be. So I got a few things set up already on how I'm going to bleed it. There's a few methods out there, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do it with this method, and I'll go ahead and show you what it's like right now. All right, so as I mentioned, I have a few things set up already. So down here, you can see where my wrench is. It's right there. That is your slave cylinder, so the hydraulic line comes in right there. And then I have a black line coming off of the bleeder screw where the wrench is. That black line goes down below here, and I have it into a water bottle. So that water bottle is filled pretty much halfway with fluid. I believe this is .3 brake fluid. And it's filled so that way that hose is fully submerged. That is so when I go and break that bleeder valve loose and I push the clutch down, I will only push out air, and when the clutch comes back, it will suck up fluid. So let's go ahead and give that a couple pumps and make sure there's no air coming out of there. So I'll leave the camera down so that way you guys can watch this, and then I will go push the clutch. So I now have the bleeder screw cracked. I have the bowl up top filled with fluid. You gotta make sure it's always filled. Do never let it run dry because then you'll create air pockets in the system. So now I'm gonna go ahead and pump up the clutch only a couple times, see if we get any air bubbles. All right, now I just tighten the line. Coming back up to the top. Now this was completely full. Now you can see that it went down about halfway. I'll go ahead and fill it back up, but we'll go ahead and put the cap back on in a second and see if we have a better clutch pedal. Okay, I went ahead and filled that back up and put the cap on. I'm going to the car now. Oh, that is way better. So much more resistance. Before it just kind of fell to the floor, but that feels a lot better now. So using that method is kind of one of the easiest ways to bleed a clutch with this type of system. There's a few different systems out there that require special tools, but luckily this one's pretty simple. Just kind of make sure getting all the air pockets out, and that way you can have a nice strong clutch. So the next thing you can do is honestly start it up and try driving it down the road, see what it feels like, see if it'll actually go into gear, and see if it will move under its own power. So I'll go ahead and open the garage door, move my wife's car, so that way we can hop into this one and see if it can go. So one thing that's kind of odd after just pulling this car out is the only time that I can get it into gear, first, second, third, whatever it is when the car is off. So like right now, I can shift between first, second, third. But when the car is on and I have the clutch depressed, like I don't have the clutch depressed right now. When the clutch is depressed and the car is on, I can't get it into gear. So that's kind of strange. But if I do it right now and then start the car up, like it doesn't try to go anywhere or anything like that, and I can let off the brake right now and let on the clutch, and it goes. So I think that's kind of weird. I don't know if the pressure plate isn't pushing down far enough or not. we're moving, that's for sure. But we have a coolant light on because there's no coolant in there. And it feels like all the brakes are dragging. The rear brake is down, so that's good. But okay, so I had to cut that little test drive short. It was having a lot of issues. I don't think that clutch is completely bled out yet, or that slave cylinder, because it still is pretty weak. It feels like it's always slightly engaged into gear, so that kind of sucks. I'll have to figure that out. But it also didn't have much power. I have check engine light flashing, so that's a misfire code. I think I mentioned that in the last episode. And then it won't go into gear. So between first, second, third, like it's really hard to get into gear. Kind of like I was showing you. I could put it into gear when it was off, but as soon as I would turn the vehicle on, it just would not go into gear. And then also the other thing is when it was actually it stalled out when I was on my little private drive here. So when I stalled out, I shoved it into first gear when it was off and tried to start it. It just wouldn't start. So it might be related to that misfire, but I'm gonna go ahead and run the codes on it real quick, see what codes I'm getting, see if it's multiple misfires, if maybe it's a coil pack, something like that. But I'll go ahead and do that right now, and I'll report back with what they are. Well, I checked the check engine light. No issues there. It must have been just reading a misfire or something like that, but the misfire actually smoothed out quite a bit. But I threw some antifreeze in it, and then I realized, hey, all my antifreeze is going on the ground. So I wasted a full gallon of antifreeze because the guys at the shop left the drain plug open, and I didn't see that until it was too late, and so now I wasted a full thing of antifreeze. So that's awesome. Oh well, guess I learned to check that for now on. But I think I'm going to be done working on this today. I'll probably pick it up tomorrow or the next day when it's a little bit more light outside, or when I pull it back in the garage. But it's running, it's good. Hopefully I can fix the clutch issue and then throw some coolant in there. But we'll tackle that another day. Well guys, it's another day of working on this Saturn Vue here. So as you saw last night, I kind of gave up. I had that coolant leak, and I decided just to call it quits for the night. But I did find out that the coolant stopper, or the petcock, was actually still in there. So I went ahead and tightened up that coolant drain plug, and that stopped the leak. And I did end up topping off that coolant reservoir. Turned it on for a few minutes too, let it cycle through, but it's working really good now. We do have good temperature inside. We have heat as well, so that means it's actually getting through the heater core, thermostat's opening up, everything like that. So I just closed that drain plug real quick and filled up with coolant, so that's awesome. But a couple things that we want to address this today is that weak clutch. I think I have a fix for that. It should be really simple after watching a few YouTube videos. And then I need to do the oil change, and then I also need to do a battery swap on it. So those three things are on the agenda today. So let's go ahead and start working on that clutch, see if we can get those air bubbles or air pockets out of the clutch line. So I'll go ahead and show you the method I'm going to be doing. Okay, as we learned already, this is where the clutch reservoir is, or clutch master cylinder is. We're going to go ahead and just remove this. First thing you'd want to do before removing this is actually pump up that clutch pedal a few times, but ours is already all pumped up and everything like that. And you want to have this full, all right? So having this full is the key. And then the next thing you're going to do is grab your vacuum hose and vacuum tool. So this vacuum hose and vacuum tool, I got it from Harbor Freight, real cheap. But this vacuum tool is going to actually suck the air out of the lines. And we do that with this hose and this little fitting on the end of here. This little very like pinpointed, almost looks like a pin tip piece here, is going to go down into the hole where the clutch fluid goes down into the hose. So we're just going to attach this right here. Make sure it's all the way in there, and then make sure our vacuum gauge works. So just going to hold my finger over top of the end here. We're holding pressure, that's good. So if I let go, it releases. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this down into there and pump it up. Real quick to give you a closer look to what we're talking about here. So looking right down in there, see that hole? We're just going to go ahead and stick that pinpoint down in there and straight into the hole, just like that, and holding pressure. And then we're going to pump it up. We're going to be sucking air out of the line. So you'll see possibly air bubbles coming up the clear tube here. So you can do this by sucking on it with your mouth, but if you have a vacuum tool, just use that. Way easier. You don't have to worry about getting stuff in your mouth. If you have a reservoir catch can, also is beneficial, but I'm planning on not getting all the way up there, but it can save you from actually getting brake fluid into your tool. So we're gonna go ahead and mount the camera and I'll go ahead and start doing this. Okay, got it down in the hole. Pump pressure a couple times. You're gonna see fluid come up. I've only seen a couple air bubbles, so that's good. Watching the air bubbles come up still, watching them come up still. And then I'm going to remove it from the hole, leaving it in the fluid still, and then releasing pressure with the tool. So I have a little pressure release right here that releases the vacuum. So that way it doesn't travel all the way up the tube. So I'm gonna do this a couple times here. So this is looking great. So I'm not pulling any air bubbles anymore. It's barely pulling anything out. So that is awesome. So I'm just gonna go and pull this out a little bit. Release pressure and let the rest of the fluid come out of the hose. And you're gonna wanna do this until you stop having air bubbles. So if you run into this situation, just keep doing it until you run out of air bubbles. So should be all set here. Put the cap back on, test the pedal a couple times. All right, let's go ahead and go in the car. The pedal might be a little soft at first until it pumps up. Soft, lots of pressure. That feels so good. So let's go ahead and make sure it goes into gear with the car off. That feels good. Now let's go and turn the car on. So I have the clutch fully depressed in right now. Check that out. Nothing like last night where it was really stiff. Goes into every single gear, and then there's reverse. So that does it, man. That was awesome. So clutch is all figured out. I'm sure it's gonna feel great going down the road. We'll try it out when we get done with the oil change and everything like that. But we can go ahead and move on to changing out the battery now. So for the battery, I just went with a nice cheap battery from Walmart. I think it was like $55, $60 for it out the door. Brought back my old core already, but we'll just go ahead and take out my Optum Red Top, so that way it doesn't go with the car, obviously. And we'll throw in the EverStart. So this battery should be more than enough to start this engine and last for a long time for whoever buys this car from me. So let's go ahead and throw that in there. All right, new battery is installed. That's good to go. Next, let's go ahead and get underneath the car and do the oil change. So we went ahead and filled up the oil. We put a new filter in. We put in a Fram CH 918 and then 5W30 oil. No funnel. That's how we do it around here. Just throw a rag around it and call it a day. Did miss a little bit, but rag caught it. So that's awesome. And then we'll just go ahead and check it real quick. So we filled up with about four and a quarter quarts here. See how we're at here. Oh yeah, that's looking really good. So it's right there, right on the top of the full. So we're gonna go ahead and call that good. All right, now that we got the battery done, the clutch bled, and the oil changed, I think we can go ahead and hop in, go for another test drive. Hopefully this one works a lot better since we'll actually have, coolant in there completely. Clutch might work better, and fresh oil change always good. And battery, that was good anyways, but we swapped it out with the right one. So let's go ahead and hop on in and go for a test drive. All right, we are now in the car, pulled out of the garage. So we have pretty good temperature so far. The temperature is looking right under half, so that's really good. And then transmission, clutch is in right now. Feels really good all the way through every gear, so that's awesome. And then yeah, let's go ahead and take it for a quick drive. So brakes are a little locked up still, so not too big of a deal though. We can definitely get those cleaned off with a wire brush or something like that. But it's moving really good. It's really good news. Let's try to grab second real quick. Second went in perfectly, so that's awesome. So I'm feeling really good about that. I do have a noise coming from the right rear. I wonder if it's like a bad strut or something, because this sounds terrible. So, but we can always assess that when we come back. Yeah, it sounds really, really bad back there. Almost like it's not even connected. Well, we'll go ahead and try to get up to speed just a little bit. Brakes are wearing themselves in. Okay. Back to first, that went really good. Noise coming from the right rear. We might go ahead and hop out real quick to see if I can see anything real quick. So let's pull over to the side. Make sure nothing's loose back there. Wheel seems to be on good. Everything like that. Strut is, can't really tell anything from the strut. Really rusted, that's not good, but I mean, tire's fine. Lug nuts are on there nice and tight, what I can tell. Tire seated well against the drum. So we're gonna go ahead and just drive this back, but it's running really good right now. So I'll just go ahead and meet you guys back at the house. Well, just getting back to the house, I took a quick peek underneath here real quick, and I see something that I don't really like. So take a look at that top rubber isolator on it. It's supposed to be on top of the spring. I'm gonna guess that is our culprit on where all that noise is coming from. So I don't know if I'm gonna need to buy a new spring or get a spring compressor, get a new rubber isolator to go in between the perch and the spring. But you can see that that is a miss. So I'm guessing that's where most of the noise is coming from. The other side of the spring looks okay. It's really rusted, but you know, Michigan, it's awesome. And then over here, you can see this looks pretty normal, how it's supposed to. So that's probably where our noise is coming from. So I'll go ahead and have to order that piece. It won't be tonight, but I'll have to go ahead and order that. Also, you gotta love when your muffler is leaking water from being so rusted, so that's pretty awesome. But it doesn't sound terrible, so I think it's just gonna be that piece right there, but again, another day. All right, we're gonna go ahead and call this episode a wraps. We got a lot of stuff done today. Car's running great, shifting great, everything like that. And we have to just take care of that spring isolator to make that noise go away. It's terrible in the back. I mean, every single bump is just boom, boom, boom. But we're going to go ahead and fix that on another episode. And make sure to go ahead and click subscribe, like this video as well, and check out my other ones that are going to be coming up. Let's check out some of the ones I've actually already posted. So, but until next time, we'll go ahead and sign off here and catch you later. See ya.